Metalocalypse from Adult Swim is getting a movie adaptation by Francis Ford Coppola. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Megalopolis. Welcome to Twig, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show that tackles everything from Skyrim Grandma retiring to the latest from Netflix with some games in between. I am your nerd pastor, Nate. I'm really the pastor of Checkpoint Church, the church designed with nerds, geeks, and gamers in mind. If you are listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like if you're ever on YouTube, or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Folks, we're going to be starting the show, as we always do, with our weekly question of what you've been watching, playing, and reading. What have you been up to over the past couple of days? I will give you a little look into what I have been working on. I'm continuing to watch through the Let's Play of Xenogears. Super enjoying it, really enjoying the story. It is interesting how much it borrows from so much of its peers, and it's interesting how many of its peers borrow from it. So I'm enjoying that one quite a bit. I did officially watch The Whale. Wow, that movie was so brutal. I was not prepared for what that movie was going to be. I knew that Brendan Fraser won awards for it, and he deserved them. He deserved every single one, because that was a fantastic film, fantastic storytelling, such good writing. Wow. I mean, just good stuff. I also watched the original, or maybe not the original, but the 1970s version of The Wicker Man. And I have now determined that the hatred that everybody offered up for the Nick Cage version of The Wicker Man was well deserved. Because wow, The Wicker Man 1970s was really good. Like, the lore was really well thought out. The terror was so well fleshed. It wasn't gore for the sake of gore. Instead, it was fear. And man, did they do it. Whereas the Nick Cage one, it felt like they just kind of went for torture porn at the end and went like Saw and tried to do the B thing, and it just didn't go well. But they really missed a lot of the stuff. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things they missed, if you're a horror fan at all, go back and watch the original Wicker Man, because what they did so well is incorporate music, and especially like tribal's not the word I'm looking for, but it's like cultural music. The way they incorporated the cult mentality into that, man, just an absolute masterpiece. I also watched Taboo from the 1930s, maybe. It was okay. Didn't really get anything out of that one in particular, but continuing to book through my 1001 movies. I also played a little bit of a Pokemon ROM hack. Didn't make it too far into it while I was away for the weekend, but played a little bit of Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass, which is a demake of Pokemon Emerald into the Game Boy Color style. It's very good so far, very pretty. Also continue my journey into Plucky Squire, although I have not yet beaten it, and also continue my journey into Midnight Ramen and have not beaten that for the Button Bash Brigade. I've also been reading Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, super enjoying that one, and also making my way through Blue Box. And then randomly, kind of like I did with Hunter x Hunter, I am also now catching up with Attack on Titan. So I have seen Attack on Titan before, but I had never read it except for maybe the first couple volumes. And so now I'm getting back into that one and enjoying it already. It really is so very, very good. So that's what I have been getting into. I will also make a quick announcement here. If you are interested in ever watching, playing, or reading along with us at Checkpoint, we do have an anime club, a book club, and a video game club. We have all three of those things, and we are going to be we're currently watching the anime of the remake of Fruits Basket. We are going to be watching Flying Witch in October, and if you would like to join us for that, then feel free to join us over in our Discord. We are going to be playing either Everhood or Paleo Pines. We have a tiebreaker vote going on right now over in the Button Bash Brigade, and we are going to be reading The Ministry of Time, and we are going to be reading The Ministry of Time. So if you would like to watch, play, or read any of those things with us, then go join our Discord, and you can get into any of those things based off of the React roles that you select. Also, we are trying to support this ministry and sustain this ministry through revenue, and you have another way that you can support us at no cost to you. If you plan on buying that book, we have a Amazon and a bookshop affiliate link that you can buy through to support Checkpoint for pennies on the dollar. But hey, nonetheless, every little bit counts, and we would appreciate anything that is free. to you that kicks back unto us. So with that, let's look through the chat here and see what everybody else has been getting into. Joanna is watching the new Frasier, reading Disability in the Church, and playing Undertale and Pal World. I saw you started Pal World. Very excited for you there. Humor Whittill is playing Astro and Outlaws, reading This Savage Song by Schwab. Coyote42 watched some friends, played Half-Life Alyx and Soma on Twitch, and playing some merge games on the tablet while reading some Loki and Darcy fanfic. Perspective has been watching Godzilla -1, also Pokemon the Movie 2000 with Kiddo. Very fun. Let's see, we got some conversation around Cameron's book there. Doopa-doopa-doo. DGC has been watching Nerdy Sermons YouTube and streams, playing through Honkai Star Rail and Persona 5 Royal, reading fanfiction and the Bible. DB, haven't really been watching anything recently, playing Minecraft and reading Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen. Very interesting stuff. Trombone is going to try and watch Flying Witch along with us, reading playing Midnight Ramen and Spyro, and reading Throne of Glass series because my whole just came back from the library or on Libby. Very nice. So yeah, we got lots of stuff going on there. DGC is excited, it looks like, for a little bit of AOT. Love getting back into that one. Oh, very fun. There's some series out there. Yeah, I mean, I just haven't given it the chance to actually get into the Attack on Titan kind of multiverse experience beyond the show. And because the show is so spread out, I do find myself kind of missing some things. And so as I'm reading, I'm like, oh yeah, I did kind of forget that happens. And this is one show in particular. For those of you that do like Attack, you know that you will miss things and they will be there. The Easter eggs are laid throughout the entire story. So good stuff. All right, well, do let us know in the comments if you are watching after the fact what you have been watching, playing, and reading. But we're going to get into some of our news articles for the night. The first of which being Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5 has lost its Steam Deck verification due to Rockstar's new anti-cheat software, BattleEye, which affects GTA Online. While GTA 5's story mode remains playable on Steam Deck, GTA Online is no longer supported. Rockstar attributes the issue to Valve's handheld device not supporting the kernel-level BattleEye, although Valve has indicated that enabling it is possible with minimal effort. This is a disappointment for Steam Deck users, as GTA 5 has been one of the platform's most popular games, and this limitation now prevents portable access to GTA Online. I think this is a super interesting article purely for the fact, first off, that GTA works on the Steam Deck. I'm not a Grand Theft Auto mega fan, and so I didn't even realize that it did work on the Steam Deck. But I do think this is an interesting kind of thing where we see some of the software that is being utilized, whether it be for mods, whether it be for anti-cheat tech, whether it be for fill in the blank, there being a little bit of a like shortcoming between delivering that and a handheld model. And the reason I think that's interesting is because I have a feeling this is why it has been so difficult for the other members of the big three to enter into the handheld market. Like, I think that Nintendo doesn't have to worry about this. Nintendo is not worried about anti-cheating tech. They're not worried about letting you mod their games. They're not concerned about third-party things at all. However, I think Xbox and PlayStation, to a degree, both realize the community element is what really makes or breaks their console. And so I think with the supposed access to an Xbox console, handheld console that we will be getting before too long, with PlayStation Portal really just being a cloud device and nothing more, I think that is a little bit of an insight into maybe why this case is. Because even with the Steam Deck, which I would argue is an almost perfect console, it is such a good device, they are even having some issues with some of the third-party things, counteracting what they want to do and how they want to do it. And so I wonder if that might not be a part of what's going on with some of the other companies being so slow to the draw. Humor Whittill does add in, they aren't worried about third-party things unless it affects their patents. That is very true whenever it comes to the lovely folks at Nintendo that certainly do have more patents than anybody could know. Great video by Moon Channel on why Nintendo puts out so many patents. And so I super recommend it because I think that it is always interesting to hear some of the legal reasons behind a company that is so ancient and so very, very Japanese in the world of the very much American market that we kind of have. And so it is intriguing to see. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts might be on this. Are you a GTA fan? Will this keep you from using your Steam Deck for GTA? Or were you somebody that actually still plays GTA Online? As I understand it, it's still a thriving thing, which baffles me. I understand that it's also pretty rampant with the like role play community. People really get into it. So go figure as far as GTA goes. I know that people are just continuing to anticipate upon anticipation GTA 6. So, you know, maybe that's just where we kind of sit with this one. And other than that, a kind of a non-story just kind of made me think of more of the factors of a handheld console and why people have been so slow to the draw. All right, so that concludes that one. Next up, we have Runway and Lionsgate. Lionsgate, the studio behind John Wick, The Hunger Games, and many more, has faced backlash after partnering with AI firm Runway to train an AI model on its extensive film and TV library. The deal, announced in a press release, aims to explore AI's role in augmenting film production, particularly in pre- and post-production. While Lionsgate highlights AI as a tool to enhance creative processes, many in the entertainment industry are concerned. Critics, including artists and directors, worry about how their work will be used without clear compensation or protections, especially given the recent focus on AI during labor strikes. This one is very, very concerning for me. I am a very hesitant AI user. I will acknowledge that I do use AI for many of my projects. I think that it can be a seriously successful and helpful tool in saving time and things that I don't want to do. But this one is a little bit concerning for me because of the amount of people that are being stomped on in the midst of this one. And so I think the reality is that Lionsgate is probably more than likely not doing anything outright egregiously illegal in this situation. The contracts that those artists, directors, actors, like a lot of what they signed probably did not protect them from this scenario. And where they are protected, I almost guarantee you, Lionsgate has done the paperwork to ensure that they are not causing any real problems. They aren't going to mess with anybody that has already got the protections in place. And so what they're doing is they're wiggling through all the protections that haven't been set into place to make a quick buck. I think that's incredibly disappointing. It's not surprising at all from Lionsgate. It's not surprising from the studio bigwigs to do this in the wake of AI, where it's kind of a like they're going to do it eventually anyway. And so why not go ahead and make some money off of it? Not saying that makes it okay, just saying that is the reality of what is probably happening here. Is they're seeing this as really their only opportunity to make any money off of this, in which AI is already going to be doing this as a form of, whether you consider it theft or whether you consider it a form of the future of technology. I do think that it is somewhat inevitable as a Thanos figure, perhaps, and we'll see. We'll see where this one goes if other studios follow suit. I think we will see the strikes continue to elevate, escalate, happen more often, maybe even reopen in some of the ones that have already kind of settled out. I think that we are in for the long haul of continued and consistent labor strikes in the wake of AI as it continues to become more and more of a creative behemoth, more and more of an interruption in that force. And unfortunately, whenever things are interrupted, the top of the market protect themselves and they throw anybody else out with the burning fire below them. But the reality of that is that if it burns, then inevitably it will burn to the top. And so we get to do the fun work of just seeing what we can do in the midst of this, who we can support, how we can support them. And most importantly for us here at Checkpoint is how we can support the human beings behind the thing. Never put a corporation over another human. We simply must do what we can to do all the good that we can. We need to avoid harm as many ways as we possibly can. And we need to encourage growth amongst the people and the places and the things that are out there. And so whenever it comes to the role of AI in our lives and the future that we have there, it is my continued argument as a pastor that we simply must not forget the human beings along the way. And we must consider how to appropriately not just use AI, but to appropriately determine ways that we can use AI that are aware of people's concerns, people's fears, and also the future of what this even means for creativity, for generative activities, for any of the things that AI is capable of. Business in particular is probably the most pressing one for a lot of these folks, especially those at Lionsgate that are probably concerned about what the future holds for the video and audio production industries. So I think that we must be concerned as pastors and as Christians and as people in the wake of just the life that we live. So whatever you can do, I think, to do good, do no harm, and strive to grow to the people that you know that are affected by this, that are impacted by this, you should. And you need to do that as quickly as possible. Let them know that you are here for them, that you support them, that you will not use anything that abuses anybody's creative rights, that does not do things adequately, accurately, and ethically, and be pushing for further ethical concerns where and when you might be able to. So there you go. That's my hot take on this one and my pastoral take on this one. So let me know your thoughts on this. I know that this is not going to be the end of this. It's not going to be the last time that we hear about this. I will also say that I have been fairly unimpressed by this form of generative AI. Really, the same with image AI. I have been fairly unimpressed. So I'm not particularly concerned right now. The thing that I am concerned about is the handshakes being made more than the actual stuff being generated. I'm not concerned for the future of art as much as I am concerned for the future of artists. I hope that makes sense. All right. With that, we're going to get into our next one. More bad news, sad news. The Skyrim Grandma is retiring. Beloved YouTuber Shirley Curry, known as the Skyrim Grandma, has announced her retirement from making gameplay videos at 88 years old. After 9 years of sharing her love for Skyrim with over 1 million subscribers, Curry revealed that she no longer enjoys creating gaming content. However, she plans to continue posting occasional vlogs and reading videos, including Skyrim books and her own stories. Fans fondly celebrated her legacy, and Curry has even been immortalized as an NPC in the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6. In her retirement, she looks forward to quitting reading. Oh, excuse me. That's funny because she did quit. In her retirement, she looks forward to quilting, reading, and writing. This one I threw in here just because I love to see somebody that is a creative, that is online, that is a content creator by all definitions, hanging up the cape, calling it quits and saying that I'm no longer enjoying this and I'm able to say goodbye to it and move in to the next thing. So, yep, NPN canceled, quilting and quitting, not the same thing, but incredibly similar looking words to those who are reading teleprompters. So yeah, I'm sad for this because of the fact that calling it quilts. Exactly. I am sad for the fact that she is retiring because of the fact that I just enjoyed seeing her news, hearing about the things that she was up to, and the fact that there was a Skyrim Grandma just made me smile. But I think that being able to retire from making gameplay videos is a goal for anyone that makes gameplay videos. Shouldn't we want to tell the stories that we can tell, to experience the things we want to experience, and then know when the end is there? I think that's wonderful. She made her impact, she did her thing, and she's still going to keep on doing what she can with the time that she has and the interest and the focus and the desire that she has. Love that. I love to see it and I love to hear it, and I hope that this can be a hallmark instance of how other creators can do it, and they can believe in themselves to be able to do that. I remember the swath of folks that we had retire around the Matt Pat time, where Game Theory officially called that he was going to be leaving. So this is another echo of that, another echo of the content creator's future, and something that we had never really seen before because YouTube didn't exist, right? So I'm always fascinated with where the content creation world continues to go, the independent content creation world continues to go, and I am always curious to know more about that. Very good. Do let us know your thoughts on this one. We're going to get into our main topic for tonight, which shouldn't take us as long as our usual main topics. We're just going to go over the things that happened this week with Netflix Geeked Week. If you don't know what Netflix Geeked Week is, this is a thing that they have been doing for quite a few years now, really ever since they've been dipping their toe into the nerdy creation game, since they've been making TV shows that appeal to the nerds, geeks, and gamers out there, such as myself. So we got a lot of announcements in the past week, which I wanted to mention. Arcane Season 2 did get some release dates, some new clips, and things for us to see. I will not be showing any trailers for copyright purposes, but I always encourage you to go look up these trailers. They put a lot of work into this. The team behind Netflix's Geeked Week, whether you like Netflix or not, the team behind this product, the producers behind it, put in a lot of work, and their work deserves to be seen. So we got a little bit of a look at Season 2 of Arcane, which is, of course, the League of Legends TV show. And just like the first season is going to be arriving in acts. So Act 1 is going to be arriving on November 9th. Act 2 will be arriving on November 16th, and Act 3 will debut on November 23rd. So back to back to back, 3 weeks in a row. We're going to be getting little bundles of episodes and longer than 30-minute clips. So I am looking forward to this. I super enjoyed season 1, and I am no doubt going to super enjoy season 2 and what else we might be able to see from them. The second one, we did get another look at the Devil May Cry animated series. It does have an official release window of April 2025, which I would say is pretty true to form. I think Netflix sticks to their announcements when they make them. So we got a little bit of a teaser trailer with Dante in it, and I think it's probably going to be based around some wonderful stories from that franchise. So I don't know which game they might be adapting or if they'll just start from the beginning of the story. Time will tell with what they actually do and when we get to hear more about the creation that they are putting out there, but I am excited to see where that one goes. I wouldn't say that Devil May Cry is one of my favorite series of all times, but it is certainly an interesting one, and it is curious to see them adapting anything, and especially an animated adapted series, which I think almost always, in my humble opinion, does better. Wasn't aware that it was being split up into acts. Yes, it is indeed being split up into 3 acts, releasing over the course of 3 weeks. We also got a new trailer for Squid Game Season 2, which is still set to arrive the day after Christmas, December 26th. Did get a great trailer. I always encourage to watch those. I will say, I enjoyed Squid Game Season 1. I wouldn't say that I absolutely loved it. I thought it was very interesting. I really liked the lore that they built. I really liked the attention to detail, the set pieces, that kind of thing were definitely my favorite part of it. However, as a diehard Death Game fan, it is certainly not my favorite Death Game, and it certainly ended on a very, very anime note with the hair dye and all that stuff. So I don't know where this one's going to go, but maybe it's going to dive even deeper into the lore. And, you know, who knows what they'll end up doing with this series. If it goes full anime and they start getting some pretty wacky characters in there, then I think I'll love it. I'll be there for every minute of it. I fully intend on watching this whole thing. And I'm curious about the fact that it's coming out over Christmas break. So I'll have time to watch it as well, which is always good news. We did get another look at the Magic the Gathering animated series. We didn't really get any details from it, but did get a single still, which I'll, again, leave you to look up for yourself. We also got another look at the cast for Black Mirror Season 7. If you've never heard of Black Mirror, that is the arguably black comedy. I would say that it's not all comedy, but it is definitely a surrealist approach to technology and the harm that it can cause. You'll be able to see some of the cast from the video itself, including Awkwafina, Issa Rae, Paul Giamatti, and some other recognizable names in there. No doubt it'll be arriving in 2025. Typically, I feel like, I can't remember when they normally drop. I feel like they always drop in July, but typically Black Mirror drops at the same time each year, and so I would anticipate it being around then. Humor Whittle adds to the Magic the Gathering is that it is a big deal that we got that image because it was assumed to have been canceled. I don't think that we had heard about it in like 5 years. Yeah, I certainly didn't know anything about it until the still dropped. So very curious to know that it is actually happening. I feel like Netflix, once they get their teeth into something, they don't let go. They give it a season and then they drop it. So, you know, sure. I'll give them that. I'll give them credit for the fact that typically when they say they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And it is really the follow through after the first season that they have difficulty with. But as we can see here, there are several second seasons that are actually happening. So big deal. Next up, Splinter Cell Death Watch did get its first trailer to drop as well. If you are a fan of the Splinter Cell series, we got a look at the animated series Splinter Cell Death Watch. Again, this is kind of like the situation with Devil May Cry. I don't really know what they're going to be adapting, how they're going to be adapting it, in what way. I was not a big fan of Splinter Cell. It's not something that I'm going to be able to like know the characters or the lore or what game matters when and who matters at what point. But again, the fact that it is happening, I think, is a pretty clear appeal to Netflix's focus on my age and a little bit older people that grew up with these games. And so I think this is exciting to know that Netflix is using me as their key demographic, me and my slightly older peers as a demographic. I think that's fantastic, and I will continue to be excited about it. The pretty much older than me demographic is also excited about Wednesday Season 2, getting another look. After the pretty wildly successful Season 1 of Wednesday, Netflix has given us our first behind-the-scenes look at Season 2 of the series as well, arriving in 2025. If I had to put money on it, I would guess October of next year. So we're probably about a year out from that second season, but who could say? Castlevania Nocturne Season 2. We have a nerdy sermon on Castlevania Nocturne Season 1. I loved that show. I thought it was so good, and I'm super excited for Season 2 to be arriving pretty soon in January of 2025. I don't know. I am curious to know if our friend Testament is continuing on in the writing role for that series. For those of you that don't know the full story there, Testament did reach out to us after watching our nerdy sermon, and we met up and had a quick coffee, and it was really, really nice and very pleasant to hear from somebody that is a writer for a Netflix series and get a little bit of their peek behind the curtain and a peek behind the scenes. So I loved that show, and I'm excited for more of it and excited to see if our friend Testament is continuing on. We also got to look at Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. We got another trailer from that one, another animated series from the Tomb Raider Survivor series coming to Netflix on October 10th. I would say we didn't really get a look at Chopper, but we did get a little bit of a look at Tony Chopper from One Piece Season 2. Everybody is very anxious and worried about the animated reindeer for this upcoming series, but we got a weird casting thing where we got to see the back of Chopper's head animated into the reading room of the cast room. Yeah, it looks fine. I think that Chopper's going to be just fine. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I don't think it's going to look incredible. I don't think it's going to look terrible. I think it's going to be exactly what it needs to be. We also got the very exciting news of Joe Manganiello joining on as Sir Crocodile, so I am particularly excited about that. I love to see the world of D&D nerds getting into the world of One Piece nerds. I think that the blending of all of these various areas of nerddom brings me such joy. If you haven't had a chance, I wish I knew her name, and I feel like I am disrespecting her by not knowing her name, but they also did announce the casting for Nico Robin, and holy smokes, she looks just like Robin. It's insane. They did an incredible job casting her, so I will encourage you to look up any of those castings. Honestly, if you haven't looked up Season 2's casting, everybody is just going to be wonderful, and I'm so excited to see the full cast and the full season. Season 1 was so wacky and just exactly what it needed to be. Was it a perfect thing? No. Was it a perfect adaptation? No. Was it fun as all get out? Yeah. It was such a fun time, and I can't wait for another season of it. Surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, for those of you that know the tenacity of Zack Snyder, we did get a surprise Rebel Moon video game trailer. I don't think that anybody was expecting it after how terrible both of those series parts did, but alas, they are getting a video game in 2025, and you can sign up for the closed beta. If you are somebody that wants to play the Rebel Moon video game series, you could probably be the only sign up they have so far. So, consider doing that. Something that got me particularly excited is, although we didn't get too much of a look into what it could actually be, they did confirm that CD Projekt Red is working on another Cyberpunk animated project. The Cyberpunk series on Netflix is some of the finest animation we have ever seen, and it is some of the best storytelling, music telling. I mean, it was so incredibly good, and I just can't say how much I love it and would love to see more from the Cyberpunk universe. I don't care if you think the game was too buggy to be played. Doggone it, it was such a good game. It was such a good world. It was so much fun to play and to live and exist in that game, and I could see so much being created from that universe that I will seriously never get tired of hearing and seeing more content from it. We did also get another look at a Witcher Sirens of the Deep. If you're a fan of the Witcher games, then you'll be excited to know that there is an upcoming Witcher animated. So we're getting a new animated movie instead of what is it? Which one is it? I can't remember which. Liam Hemsworth, I'm pretty sure. So if you're not into the Liam Hemsworth adaptation of the season as Geralt there, then you can look forward to an animated one. So I haven't heard anything, and I don't think anything was announced at this one about that Liam Hemsworth season, but alas, we are going to be getting a film and an animated film at that on February 11th of 2025. Exciting stuff as well. The Remarkable Life of Ibelin. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know, World of Warcraft folks out there, is coming out on October 25th. This is actually a documentary that did make its debut at Sundance earlier in the year. Going to be coming to Netflix on October 25th. This is a documentary that's going to tell the story of Mats Steen, who lived a tragically short life due to a degenerative muscular disease. Much of the film dives into his life taking place in the World of Warcraft, revealing a surprising depth of online friendships he made inside the MMORPG. I fully intend on watching this and probably writing a nerdy sermon on it, because that's just exactly what Checkpoint is about, and I love to see it, hear it, and know more about it. So if you know anything about that one and want to correct anything that I may have said incorrectly about World of Warcraft, please do. I am not into WoW. I have never played it, so I don't know anything about it, but I do think this is phenomenal. I do know some about it, obviously. And I do know in particular their funeral practices being a very impactful thing. I actually did write my final dissertation in seminary on that. So I do know a little bit about WoW. I just have never played it for myself, so I don't know the lore factors. But I know a lot about the people that play WoW. And so that's why I'm also being very considerate of correct me, WoW people, because I know that can be an important thing. And I bow to you, Sensei. We also got another trailer for Sakamoto Days. It is an anime coming to Netflix. Seems to be a pretty faithful adaptation of the manga. I don't know why they wouldn't. It's a great manga. It's super fun, funny, easy. It kind of reminds me of the House Husband manga that they adapted. However, it seems like they're doing a better job, which I do think that House Husband wasn't a bad adaptation. I think it was just a tricky thing to adapt since it kind of had that 4-panel vibe and they didn't go full bochi with it. You need to, if you're going to do a 4-panel thing, then you need to adapt it all the way. So take what you can get and don't pitch a fit, as Nora, my daughter, says. And then the final announcement that we got, Monument Valley is officially available on Netflix Games. I will not lie to you, Netflix Games has been pretty impressive to me recently. The stuff that they're creating, the fact that a Ranger was on there day one, Netflix is trying pretty hard, the Netflix Games stuff, and they really haven't backed off from it. And Monument Valley 1 and 2 are going to be on there, and 3, the new one, is also going to be released on Netflix Games. If you haven't played those, they're fantastic mobile games, great little puzzlers, absolutely gorgeous, great soundtrack, good stuff for you. If you don't know about them, then you should check them out because they're great little games to play, especially since they are mobile based. Okay, I feel like I've talked so much and said so many things all in the span of 10 minutes. There is not yet a Monument Valley 3, but there is going to be a Monument Valley 3 very soon. I agree. It is interesting. We didn't get anything on Stranger Things. I'm surprised about that as well. I think we saw a couple stingers of them. We saw some stuff from the cast. The cast was interviewing and doing things like that, but there were no hard fact announcements about them. So it's not like Stranger Things wasn't present at all. It was just that there wasn't anything really exciting to announce. And did you see, I read your comment earlier. Of course, you don't have to like Cyberpunk. I will not hold it against anybody for not liking it, but oh boy, it's a masterpiece. It's so good. I love it. It got so much hate, and I enjoyed it so very much that I feel like I have never been allowed to say how much I love it. You can't stop me because I have all of the hot takes, and I will continue saying the things that I will say. But obviously, you play what you're going to play, you do what you're going to do, and that is 100% within your right as a gamer and a human being. Coyote excited for Cyberpunk. I will say, even if you're not interested in playing the game, if you haven't watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners, you should really watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners because it's really some of the best anime there is. It is one of my very, very favorites. I think it is so incredibly good, and I highly recommend it, even for people that did not care for the video game. So we are going to be bringing in a new segment tonight. As you can tell, we do not have our usual castmates, so we're not going to be able to do cryptic critiques tonight. And so we're going to try a new segment that I am going to be working on here. We'll see how it goes, but let's give it up for our new stinger for our new series called Quick Takes. Maybe. Oh no! Don't tell me it won't work. Oh, of all the things. Hang on. Yeah!
Quick Takes with Nate.
Okay, so for whatever reason it didn't work, that's fine. I'll work it out later, but this is the game. This is the game where I have to give my quick take on games submitted by members of the Checkpoint Church community. I have 10 seconds per game. I have not looked at these games to prepare, except for maybe one. My parameters for this entry was that it had to be a game from the year 2000. And so I am going to put up, oh, hang on. I've got the thing too. Let me. No, it's not that one. It's not that game. It's that one. Quick takes. All right, so these are quick takes with Nate here. We're going to be looking at these games, going through them, and seeing my thoughts on each of them as quickly as I can come up with them. We'll see how it goes. I have not this is a dry run. I don't know how this is going to go. This could be incredibly boring. This could not be interesting or engaging at all. We do have 7 entries, and we're going to give it the old college try right about Now, all right, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. So I think that I loved all of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games. I remember in particular collecting the tapes, and the tapes were some of my favorite part. The soundtrack obviously sticks in my brain. I don't know which Kirby this is. Is it Crystal Shards? Maybe. I never played this one, but it looks great. I love a Kirby game. Who doesn't love a Kirby game? I do love the 3D graphics. Okay, I mean, it's a masterpiece. Majora's Mask is so incredibly good. There's no way these are 10 seconds. This is so much shorter. But yeah, Majora's Mask is a very, very good game. Maybe Mana. I'm going to say that's maybe one of the Mana games. I never played the Legends of Mana series. Or maybe this is something else entirely. It looks great. Oh, we're back to this one for some reason, even though we've already done this one. It looks like the randomizer is a bit scuffed already. Or two people happen to submit Pro Skater 2. Oh, yes. Oh, man, did I love the Army Men games, especially whenever you were in the fridge. I don't know if anybody remembers the fridge section of the Sarge's Heroes game, but it was so good. Okay, we got a Roller Coaster Tycoon here. I don't know which one it is. I was more of a fan of Zoo Tycoon, though, especially the one on the DS. That was my particular favorite, my bread and butter. And we're back to this one again. I don't know why we keep going back to this one, but I do need to know which game this is. So if this was your game, then let me know that you submitted it, because I would love to know more about it. I guess next time I need to include in the request that you put like the title of the game so that I know what's going on. And it's also supposed to end. Oh, we got another Tony Hawk's here. Very good. So we got lots of Tony Hawk's, and I super enjoyed all of those. Oh, that's okay. That's Final Fantasy IX. I had not played Final Fantasy IX. I thought it was a Legends game, though. Doesn't it look just like a Legends game? Yeah, so that is one that I have never played and would love to play. I have played Final Fantasy 7 and maybe 8 and definitely 6 and then 10. So good stuff. Vivi is the like the one in the little hat, right? Very neat. Okay, well, look, that went how it went. Let's look at who submitted what one in particular. Perry did submit 3 by request there at the end. Let's see, we have Twyla's game, which appears to be the Kirby one. I feel like that's Crystal Shard. I feel like that was the name of that one. I don't remember. I didn't really play many of the Kirby games, and so I'm not super familiar, but I'm going to go with my gut and say that that is probably Crystal Shard. Majora's Mask was Phoenix's suggestion. I love Majora's Mask. I do love the N64 world of games. I think that they were such good Zelda experiences. I will say that this is one of those games where I don't think I've ever actually played the entirety of Majora's Mask because it was too hard. I remember growing up and it was just a real challenge. So I have I know the story, I know the lore, I've done the ending fight and that kind of stuff, but I have no real idea of if I went back, I bet you it would feel completely new. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm getting at. I would remember the elements, but I probably wouldn't remember all the little idiosyncrasies within the game. Perry's first one was Roller Coaster Tycoon. You threw in the sacrilege for the zoo. I tell you, my thing about Zoo Tycoon, I don't know what it was. I just really liked the animals. Really like the animals more than torturing the people. I also never really got into Sim City. I played Sim City, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon, but Zoo Tycoon, I spent days of my life playing. Bats was the one that contributed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Very good stuff. I feel like I can still hear the soundtrack of that one. Joanna, as you can tell by clearing us up and setting me accountable for Final Fantasy IX, did indeed submit Final Fantasy IX, which means the remaining 2 are from Perry. We've got Sarge's Heroes, maybe? Was that year 2000? It feels like it was earlier than that, but it's definitely one of the Army Men games, and Sarge's Heroes was the one that I remember the most distinctly. And then Perry's other one, it looks like it is another Tony Hawk. I'm going to guess, considering the fact that Bats submitted a Tony Hawk 2, then I'm going to guess this was also a Tony Hawk 2. So it was very good. I remember it very, very well, very distinctly. I played those games a whole lot. Another game that I almost guarantee you I was not very good at, but my brother just kind of tolerated watching me play, just because he didn't have anybody else to play with. So that is that one. And this has been Quick Takes with Nate. Maybe we'll bump it up to make sure. First off, we're going to make sure that it was actually 10 seconds because those did not feel like 10 seconds. Maybe they felt like 10 seconds to you and it was just because I was in the moment. We'll also need to make sure that people submit the name of the game so that I have any idea what's going on. And then I think the more that we have, even better, because that was just 7 and it felt like it went by too fast. I wanted a little bit more time to linger with them. So maybe we'll go up to 15 seconds if that actually was 10 seconds. But alas, let me know your thoughts on that new game. This has been Quick Takes. This could be our new solo Twig game. Next time we all submit Tony Hawk, and I'll love each and every one of them. So yes, Let me know your thoughts on this particular segment. If you thought it was fun for a solo Twig episode in place of Cryptic Critiques, or if we need to keep on searching. Do let me know also your favorite game that came out in the year 2000. What might it have been if you had known about the prompt in advance? What would you have submitted for this one? With that, we're going to get into my personal favorite segment of the show.
At this point in nerd history.
That's right. It is time for At This Point in Nerd History. We are going to be looking at all of the games, movies, TV shows, random events, whatever that happened today, September 24th, throughout time and space. We got a whole lot of games and not much else. So I'm going to get into the plethora of games that came out on this day throughout time and space. In 2021, a game that I only played a couple months ago and highly recommend to everyone, The Forgotten City, did release on this day in time and space. 2019, the fantastic dating sim, I Love You, Colonel Sanders, that truly nobody expected, did come out on this day. The same day, it turns out, as I, the Somnium Files, which is another really baffling experience if you have not experienced it. If you like Danganronpa, you might like I, the Somnium Files. It's a bird of a different color, but it is nonetheless connected in that Tokyo Games world. 2014, Bayonetta 2. Released on this day, and nobody bought it because it was for the Wii U. So they had to release it again. 2013, Cookie Clickers was released. 2010, Dead Rising 2. Feels like that game was so much longer ago, but nonetheless, Dead Rising 2, which they now, of course, have the Dead Rising series remake. If you liked those games, they are back, and it seems like in full force. I'm seeing some pretty ridiculous things about the remake. They were already ridiculous games to begin with, but it looks like they did some really good things with them. 2009, Arkham Asylum released. The beginning of a beautiful friendship between me and the Arkham games. My personal favorite is Arkham City, but I did enjoy Arkham Asylum and Knight. Let me know your thoughts on the Arkham series and its unfortunate lack of anything since really Knight. Some people didn't like Knight. I personally did like Knight, but alas, everything since then has been a bit subpar. All the VR stuff I haven't gotten into, and then anything that's been kind of the spiritual successor a la Gotham Knights just hasn't done it for me. 2004, the original Animal Crossing on the GameCube. Not the original, but the original to many of us on the GameCube, released in Europe. 2002, the day the music died, Rare, otherwise known as Rareware, was bought by Microsoft. Sad day for Nintendo 64 fans, but alas, it is what it is. Also, on that same day, another Nintendo blunder, 2002, September 24th, Stairfax Temperatures, otherwise known as Star Fox Adventures, the game that I could never figure out how to play, no matter how many times I rented it, did release. 2002, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3, a remake, of course, of Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, is released in America. 2001, Ico, a fantastic game, was released. 2000, Baldur's Gate 2 was released, which really should bring in and cement the reality of the gap between Baldur's Gate 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, since we're back in 2000. 1994, Donkey Kong for the Game Boy is released in Europe, whereas the original arcade game only had 4 actual stages in it. This Donkey Kong edition had 100. 1993, another icon of the video game industry, Myst, was released. And then we've got even more icons. 1992, SimCity and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past are released on the SNES in Europe. A lot of really good games, a huge list of a fantastic library of video games. Truly, like, I had trouble getting it down to this list because there were so many more that I could have even added on top of this. And then randomly, the only fun fact I have beyond video games is TV. In 1968 on CBS television, 60 Minutes premiered for the first time. The iconic TV show 60 Minutes started back in 1968 on this day in time and space. Let us know if you found any of those particularly interesting, if anything was worth noting for you, if anything got your attention in the world of games, or any of those games was some of your favorites out there. Let me know any of those factors. I would love to hear about it. 92 was indeed a great year. SimCity and A Link to the Past are two big deals. I'll say for me, I think that there were some really exciting highlights throughout it, all the ones that I included. And of course, the tongue-in-cheek nod to Rare being bought by Microsoft being a bummer. But alas, you know, some people enjoyed it. But for me, my Nintendo boy heart was sad when Rare left us. All right, that has been At This Point in Nerd History. With that, we need to get into our next segment of the show. Okay, we are time for upcoming releases. These are 3 things that are coming out in the next week, give or take, that I am excited about and want to share with you. So these are a movie and I think 2 games for today that I wanted to talk about. The first one is a movie that is doing pretty well from Coppola, Megalopolis. Megalopolis from Adult Swim is getting a movie adaptation by Francis Ford Coppola. Oh, okay. Brr. Megalopolis. 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 Megalopolis is a Roman epic fable set in a reimagined modern America. The city of New Rome must change, causing conflict between Caesar Catalina and a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian, idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. It's apparently doing very good. Giancarlo Esposito is the bad guy. Adam Driver is the good guy. Again, it's Coppola. It's going to be good, and it's doing well, and it seems to be an interesting new venture. It is one that could just as easily flop, and I'm not going to say the name of it ever again. So there you go. That is my first pick. Is Tokyo Game Show this week? I didn't realize that, DGC. That's very exciting and something that I wish I had known. That'll have to show up next week in our Twig episode, indeed, because I would love to hear all of the things about that. That does make sense considering the recent announcement from RGG about the latest Yakuza Pirates game. So that typically they do their announcements around TGS time or even at TGS. So that does make a lot of sense. Okay, next up is Bloomtown. I'm stealing this one from Mayfly, although I heard about it maybe first. We played Bloomtown, a different story. It is a narrative a JRPG mixing turn-based combat, monster taming, and a social RPG in a seemingly pleasant 1960s Americana town. Join Emily and her group of friends to save their cozy town from the demonic creatures that live in the hearts of its residents. Spoiler alert for this one. If it does well on Backlogged or whatever site I happen to be looking into it from, maybe IGN will play it. If it does pretty well, like I'm talking a 7 or above, this will probably be our next game that we play after In Stars in Time. I'm super curious about this one, and I think it makes a ton of sense for us to play it on stream, especially as it is just starting to get its audience. So spoiler alert for what could potentially be our next game to play here on the Checkpoint Church stream on Wednesdays and Fridays. Bloomtown, one that I am curious about. If you like Earthbound, if you like Persona, if you're into that kind of game, that is what we might be playing. Next, the third thing that I am excited for is going to be The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It is up to Zelda this time, her wisdom, to save the Kingdom of Hyrule. In a brand new story in the Legend of Zelda series, the people of Hyrule are being stolen away by strange rifts that have appeared with a certain swordsman among them. Team up with the mysterious fairy Tri and use the power of the Tri Rod to create echoes, imitations of things found in the environment. Then recreate those echoes wherever you like to. Solve puzzles. Okay, I see now. Then recreate those echoes wherever you like to solve puzzles and defeat enemies. Use echoes of water blocks to reach new heights, make bridges out of old beds, throw rocks at foes, or find your own creative combination of echoes to do things your way. I am very excited for a new Legend of Zelda game. I am very excited to get to be Zelda. I am looking forward to Echoes of Wisdom, and I have been ever since the announcement. I love the art style of the Tri-Rod. I love the experience. I'm going to be playing it, and I'm looking forward to it. I probably won't be playing it on stream. It'll be something that I play on my own time, but alas, it is something that I am incredibly excited for. Let me know what you might be excited for that's happening in the next week. DGC has already dropped a couple on us there. Do let me know if there's anything else that you might be looking forward to coming out in the next week or so. But with that, we're going to get into our final segment of the show, which is, of course, Meme of the Week. Yeah, that's right. It's time for our meme of the week. This time it is by one of our members, Sierra. This one is Another One Bites the Dust. We got some puppy dogs here. One named obviously Another One. The other one named obviously The Dust. And they are being bitten. Very good stuff. Very good meme. This is the one that got the most traction and attention from our wonderful folks over on our Discord server. So if you haven't already, exclamation Discord in the chat, be sure to join our Discord. Or if you're watching after the fact, you can join it down in the description down below. If you would like to be considered for our meme of the week next week, then use our Memes and Goofs channel. The one that gets the most reaction over the course of the week is typically the one that I end up going with. So That is how you enter. I hope that you enjoyed this meme. It is a very, very good one, and I always appreciate seeing some puppers on the screen. With that, we're going to get into the end of our show. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me tonight, helping me with this solo twig. I think this is the first solo twig that has gone the full hour, so that shows just how much I have been talking tonight and why my voice hurts so incredibly bad. So, this has been Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button and recommend the show to your favorite nerds. We appreciate everybody that watches the show, that shares the show, that likes it, that does whatever they can to support us, but we want to give an extra special shout-out to those that also support us financially. We are a real-life ministry, and if we want to sustain this ministry, then we need financial support, so these are our subscribers over on Twitch. We have Perspective, Joanna the Scribbler, Deacon Shannon LS, Nerd Pastor Nate, Akeem 4752, Tina Christina P, Sugar Haiku, Mindful Marlena, Twilight 27, DGC 121996, Lee Animal Art, Buish, Coyote 42, Jate Live, Me 30 Bet, Scooby Church, Wise and Lemur, Xando Calrissian, Sneaky Pig 633, and The Sunny Money. Thank you all for watching the show and supporting the show, and thank you to those subscribers for supporting us financially. Is there going to be Twig next week? Yes, there should be Twig next week. Lord willing and the creek don't rise. If you are wondering why we didn't talk about State of Play or that kind of stuff in this episode, it's because it happened an hour ago and I didn't have time to prepare. I will say you can go watch the VOD of our good friend Humar Whitill, who over on Cameron Plus Deanna did indeed watch the show and got it all hyped up for all the good things that they announced there and all the wonderful times had by the fine PlayStation folks. With that, we're going to be ending our show with the 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, or hate church, we still believe these 3 things to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, really, really loves you. Number 2, that we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here. That's why we have this show. It's why we talk about these things. It's why we nerd out in this way. And then number 3, we believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see you, whether it be on our stream as we are finishing up in Stars and Time on our Twitch channel, whether it be on our YouTube channel, watching our nerdy sermon, or this episode next week, or whether it just be around our Discord hanging out, I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, folks. Bye-bye.